Technovation Talks. Technovation Talks. Technovation Talks. Technovation Talks. Technovation Talks. The AኣይP Tech and Innovation Services Annual is exclusively sponsored by LexisNexis.
Hello, and welcome to Technovation Talks, a new podcast series brought to you by the AኣይP Tech and Innovation Services Annual. I'm your host, Dr. Claudia Duffy, and I'm the founder of Innovare AኣይP, a full-service firm of patent and trademark attorneys based in the United Kingdom. This podcast series is presented on behalf of Northlands Media, publishers of the AኣይP Tech and Innovation Services Annual, which was officially launched during INTA in May this year in our wonderful city of London. The AኣይP Tech and Innovation Services Annual is a publication dedicated to exploring the evolving intersection of intellectual property, technology, innovation, and professional services across the global IP sector. Throughout this series, I will be speaking with some of the leading voices shaping the future of IP technology, from innovative platforms and service providers to pioneering organizations delivering real value and transformation within the intellectual property industry. In today's episode, I'm pleased to welcome Hady Khawand, founder and CEO of AɁIP Genius, an IP advisory and prosecution firm powered by AI and enhanced by human expertise. Hady, welcome to Technovation Talks. It is a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Claudia. I'm really happy to be here as well.
Before we dive into our discussion, could you please share a little about your career journey and what led you to pursue a path in intellectual property?
Definitely. So I'm initially a Lebanese attorney at law, member of the Beirut Bar Association, and I have around 40 years of experience up till now. I've started my career not in IP, actually, as a general practitioner, and then around 2006, I got an offer to join a regional IP firm in Dubai, out of Dubai actually, but it's a regional firm in the MENA region. And this is where it started. So even though I worked in IP before that, so I used to handle some IP cases and things like that, and I loved the domain, but I really specialized in it when I moved to Dubai. And now I left my previous employer just a couple of years ago, and I initiated and started AǳIP Genius.
Many thanks. So, Hady, you spent more than 4 decades, you mentioned, as a practicing attorney, advising multinationals and conglomerates across the GCC or Gulf Cooperation Council. What did you observe during that time that convinced you the structure of an IP practice itself needed to be redesigned, not just merely improved?
Actually, Claudia, I'm among the generations who started our career using mainly a pen and a paper. And then we started using a mechanical typewriter. Then it came down the electric one. Then, the first type of computers with these big screens. And we moved from there with the internet to have several systems that were integrated. So digitalization took place. And at a certain point, during my practice as an IP attorney, I had to log in to more than 4 or 5 different systems each morning. So, and I noticed how much during that period we were facing a lot of bottlenecks, a lot of time spent on administrative things that we were not supposed to do. As IP attorneys, we are most concerned by looking at the substantive matters of any case that we have at hand, advising clients on how to do the work, not just to follow on administrative work that needs to be done and can be automated. And this lack of integration, this fragmented system was creating a lot of bottlenecks for us, but also for our clients, be it international IP holders directly or international IP firms. And for me, it felt normal. When AI came into the picture, I felt that the industry needs to change, needs to adapt, needs to use AI in a very ethical way, in a very professional way, in order to be able to take the industry to the next level. And this was the main reason behind establishing AIP Genius.
Indeed, if there's one thing that you learned throughout your career so far is that you need to adapt. You need to adapt in the way you deliver services to the client, but you also need to adapt the way you work as an attorney. And as you are saying, there was a need for a change and take advantage of AI. You describe AIP Genius as the world's first vertical AI ecosystem dedicated exclusively to IP. What does vertical AI mean in practice? And why does that distinction matter when there are already many general purpose AI tools entering the legal market?
Well, that's a very important question, and I hope that all the listeners will be able really to understand this big difference. So, horizontal or the general purpose AI tools that you mentioned are usually set based on three main focuses. The first one, they retrieve information from public domain, from available information on the web, on the in the market. Secondly, they are trained to give an answer. They need to provide satisfaction to the user, and therefore the AI is trained all the time to try in any way. You will never receive an answer like "Sorry, I don't know," right? And the third one is you are always working with just a machine. You are just in front of your computer or your laptop or your mobile, and you are just working with a machine. There is no human interaction. And these are subject to a lot of uncertainties, to hallucination. These will lead to places where you're not sure. And this is exactly what's happening today. So, in a vertical AI system, be it related to IP or other industries, it is used differently. So, AskAïP is built and retrieves the information from our own proprietary country specific knowledge base. And therefore, the information is secured. You don't get the information from anywhere, you get information that is reliable. The AI is trained not to give an answer in all cases. If the information is not available, the AI is trained to tell you, I'm sorry, I don't have the information in my knowledge base. I will inform the team in order to update the database. And third, and most important, whenever you want to talk to a human, you can directly turn the AI chat to a chat with a human. So the human in the loop is always there. And therefore, AskAïP is 100% what we describe as a vertical AI. And it is needed when we're talking about using AI in a specific industry and making it reliable so that the people trust it and be able to work based on it.
Many thanks. So what you are saying is that you have moved from horizontal general purpose AI tools to vertical AI tools. And in your article in the inaugural AኣይP Tech and Innovation Services Annual, you use the title From Guesswork to Infrastructure. And you open with a striking line that IP professionals are not resisting AI, they're resisting uncertainty. Can you expand on that distinction and explain what it means for how AI tools in IP must be engineered?
Definitely. So we all heard many stories about attorneys facing issues by relying on information they got from an AI general purpose tool. And this is the reason why it was like known in the market, in the IP industry, and in the legal industry in general, that you need to be very careful about using AI. You cannot trust the source. You cannot make sure that the information retrieved is correct, is accurate. And this is understandable. I'm among the people who felt that way when AI started, and we were hesitant whether we can allow our teams to use AI tools, yes or not. And this thing is based on a fundamental matter in our practices, be it as attorneys or IP attorneys as well. We need to have reliable information. Otherwise, we might advise a client in a wrong way. We might do a submission to a court and found out that it is not correct. And all these would lead to a lot of problems at all levels. So, from that purpose, what we need to create today is the trust that some tools that are specifically designed based on a vertical AI that serves the legal industry or the IP industry, these can be trusted, can be used freely based on what I've explained between the difference between a vertical and a horizontal AI. So in our situation, this is a big challenge in the situation of AIP. When we are going to clients, we are always trying to help them to create that trust that when they ask a question like, it happened with me. I asked a question about the law in the UAE, and the first thing that the AI general tool that I got me the answer is the law of 1992, which was already is no longer valid because of the law that was issued in 2021. And because I knew that, I told the AI, but in my understanding, there is a law that was issued in 2021, and it is at that point that the general purpose AI tool was able to correct the information. You see? So in AIP, we don't have that problem. Our knowledge base is 100% up to date. It is trustworthy. And whenever you have even any doubt, you can turn the chat to the human, and you can have someone who can confirm what you are looking for.
Also, in my experience, I know that it is important to use AI tools, not necessarily with caution, but use them in a way that it almost confirms the knowledge that you already have as an attorney. And this is where you remove the uncertainty and you can trust the output a lot more. So, you identify 6 structural frictions in traditional IP practice, from information gaps across jurisdictions, and you mentioned one just now, to billing opacity and inconsistent professional fees. As a patent attorney myself, I find the prosecution coordination burden particularly resonant. In your experience, which of these frictions causes the greatest operational damage, and why has the industry tolerated them for so long?
Well, Claudia, in my opinion, all these 6 are huge, are very crucial, are critical to our practices. And I really invite the listeners to go and read the article again and take time to look at each one of these frictions. However, in my personal opinion and based on my experience, the first one, which is access to data, is the most important one because it has influence on all the other 5, the remaining 5. Why? We cannot do anything without information. We know it not only in IP industry, in all industries. Information and access to information is becoming very, very important and a key success factor for anything that we do. If we have wrong information, we will get wrong results. If we have the right information and quick and easy access to that information, that will change the whole game. Why we stayed that long, using these traditional ways? Because we didn't have any other way to do it. So we needed, in order to get information, to send an email to a local agent in one of the countries or several countries where we have interest, and then to retrieve the information from that person over 1 week or 2 weeks sometimes, for them to respond the first time, then if we have any follow-up question and so on. So it was like a unlimited exchange of emails, this, like we call it ping pong, of email exchange in order to be able to have access to information. So for me, this is the main friction, and we are solving it at AIP Genius through our vertical AI tool, AskAïP, because now you can get the information in no time, just by a few clicks on your keyboard.
So, what you are saying is that a user can obtain the information that they need in real time by using the AIP Genius platform. So would you be able to walk us through the platform? And you mentioned AskAïP, SearchAïP, AIP Nexus, and the forthcoming AMS. How do these four components connect, and what does the integrated experience look like for an IP firm or an in-house team managing a complex multi-jurisdictional portfolio?
Well, Claudia, our vision and our philosophy behind AIP is in general based on three main elements. The first one, we need to come up with an AI native solution. That's how we started thinking about it. It shouldn't be designed as an ordinary solution or coming up with something that exists already and try to implement AI in it. It is natively thought of and imagined and designed as an AI solution. The second element, it is a human in the loop approach implemented at all times. So we don't want any solution, AI or others, to replace humans. It needs to be complementing their work and the way that they do things. And the third element is related to the fact that it should cover all the life cycle of an IP right from A to Z. You know, we don't miss anything. We don't need to go into fragmented systems in order to manage the life cycle of an IP right. And that's the design of AIP Genius. And let me explain it to you in a storytelling. So let us say today, if you want through your firm to file a trademark in 5 classes in 20 countries that are covered by AIP Genius. Then what you need to do today without AIP is you have to first locate uh, uh, 10 different agents, or even if it is a regional firm, you have to go to their offices one by one, send emails if you have their contact details, and inquire about whether you can file such a trademark, whether it will be acceptable or not, the classification and how to do about that, what are the required documents, how much it will cost you. And then from there on, you will need to send instructions. You will receive an invoice. You have to compare it with the code that was received initially, and then process the payment. And then the work will be done, and you will be waiting for a while to receive any notification saying it was filed or it wasn't filed, it was accepted or not accepted, and so on. We know the drill, right? So when you are using AIP Genius, all this is done just in minutes. You can go to Ask AIP, get all the information that you need instantly. If you need any additional information, you can get in touch with our customer support center, available 24/7. Either they will be able to attend to your inquiry, or they will channel it internally to the right person, including your local IP agent, because you know AIP is not an IP firm. We are just a tech solution, and we are always using the services of a network of local agents. We call them PLAs, preferred local agents. Then you want to do a search, you can directly switch to do the search. And now we are developing the agentic AI features. And to explain to our listeners, agentic, it means that the AI tool will work for you as an agent. And therefore, we are training the AI to do the search on your behalf, to file a trademark on your behalf. So at a certain point, my own dream, so I have a dream, Claudia, my own dream is to reach a point where an attorney in the morning will not have to do anything other than to interact with the chatbot, with Ask AIP. And from that interaction, it can ask, can I file a 3D trademark in Saudi Arabia? If yes, okay, can you prepare, please? I want to do a search for this trademark. What do you think this trademark can be registered or not? And all these can be done through your interaction with the chatbot. But we have behind it the back end technology for the search, which is SearchAïP, and then for what we are calling Nexus, which is the system, online system for filing. So once you get the information, you do a search instantly. And the search also is based on our philosophy. So first, we have trained an AI tool, and the search is under a pending patent now. We trained an AI tool to do the comparison, to do the analysis of the trademark. in comparison with the raw data that you can retrieve from any search that you do. And then it gives you a report. This report is AI drafted, but human verified before it reaches the client. And it covers both relative and absolute grounds. And therefore, you get a full assessment on whether your trademark will be able to gain protection or not. Then you want to file, you can directly move into filing it. We are connected online with the trademark offices that are available, and they have the digital system, and they are accessible. And now we have the EU, the UAE, and soon we are adding OAPI. And therefore you can file your trademark instantly. There is no human interaction. It will be done instantly. You just submit, the AI will help you to draft the application. You can just look at it, approve that everything is done, even the description of the trademark, even the classification, to choose the classes or the description that you need to put in each of the classes, and then you do the filing. And then the system, AIP, will continue to monitor the application on your behalf. And the instant there is a change in its status, let us say now it was examined and a decision is issued, you will be notified instantly on the AIP portal, and then you can take the next step, which is publishing it. If you face an office action or later on an opposition, you will get in touch with your IP local agent, and you can handle that outside of AIP platform. And this can be done for all type of formalities. Now we are covering trademarks, but later on we will add patents as well. And then AMS is actually was launched during the INTA in London as an MVP, a beta version. This is the new IPMS. So while the first three solutions that I told you about are, or two of them, let us say, to be very realistic, are very innovative and new. They are novel. The AskAïP and the AයිP Nexus. SearchAïP, there are other solutions in the market that they tackle kind of the same. AMS is already an existing solution. It's the IPMS, the intellectual property management system that is used by all IP holders and IP firms worldwide. It's a huge industry, but there are legacy solutions in the market. They are fragmented. They don't talk to each other. You need to connect them to an email system. You need to connect them to an accounting system, and so on. In our situation, AMS is AI native solution. It is designed in a way you have your own private chatbot that we can help you train it the way that you want. We have a fully integrated system. You can invite all type of users, internal users, external users, other departments, other clients, whoever you need. You can invite them and give them a specific access to the system, and all communication can be done internally. So it's a full-fledged intellectual property management system. So now to answer your question, what's the vision? We are expanding the territorial coverage of the first three, and we hope that at a certain point they will integrate together. So if you get a license to use our AMS, the IPMS, you can add on all the other platforms and be able, in most of the countries, to do the work online and to have all the information available at your desk.
So indeed, it's a very integrated experience for an attorney wishing to, in this case, file a trademark application. And I have to say that you have really brought to life what it means for a professional to use the tools that AIP Genius has developed. And I can see how the heavy lifting is actually done by these tools to start with. So you describe AIP Nexus as reducing traditional prosecution costs by 30 to 50% through indeed standardized professional fees and transparent billing. For IP professionals accustomed to opaque cost structures, that is a significant claim. How does the platform achieve that, and what does it require from the local agent network to function?
Yeah, definitely. And so it is easy. Automation, it has always been known to reduce cost. And that's what we did initially. And we have reduced costs for all parties. So the IP agent who is assigned by a client will have a very passive role, because they are just accepting to use their representation to the client, but they are not doing anything practically. The system AIP is doing everything on their behalf, but still under their control. So they have overview of each of the steps, and if they feel that there is something wrong, they can take action. Even, let us say, God forbid, we face any issues and the system is down, the IP agent will continue to be in charge of the file, and they can take all the measures in order to continue taking the necessary steps further. And therefore, reducing the cost was mainly related to this big enhancement in the automation of the processes that made the work very, very streamlined and very easy to be done. On the other hand, we were successful, and I really am appreciative and thankful to the network of local IP agents that we were able to establish across several jurisdictions, where I tried to convince them of a simple fact. The formality, which is kind of a commodity type of work, of preparing and filing a trademark application, or actually filing a trademark application, not preparing it, because it will be prepared on our portal. Filing a trademark application is very easy. It's the same in all countries to a big extent, and therefore, why are we charging it separately and differently? Why do we charge for the same type of service in one country $800, in another country $300, in some countries $200? It doesn't make sense from that perspective. You're not putting anything more into it. You're not adding to it. You are having an application that is prepared by a tool that is monitored and approved by the client, by the IP owner, and then you are just printing it and going to file it, or it is filed directly at the relevant trademark office. And therefore, we were able to convince them to unify the prices. So all our preferred local agents, depending, so we have two type of countries, online and hybrid. In the online countries, they take one fee for such formalities, and everyone, so independent of the country, independent of the agent. And in the hybrid countries where the trademark office is still not online, they do a little bit more work, so they get a higher fee. But this higher fee is also unified among all agents across all countries. And this is how we were able to reduce the cost.
Indeed, it is very plausible, and I'm glad to hear that you have found local agents that are happy to work on this basis, because it does help the client absolutely, particularly the SME clients, or small and medium enterprise clients. So I believe that our listeners will have a very good understanding as to what AIP Genius and its tools can do. So I'm going to move on to you and the fact that you are pursuing a PhD at the University of Antwerp, examining the strategic impact of IP on SME growth and exit outcomes in the Gulf region. And you speak of a broader mission to position the GCC, so Gulf Cooperation Council, not only as a consumer of innovation, but as a contributor to global innovation governance. So, how does AIP Genius serve that ambition, and what does an IP mature GCC ecosystem look like to you?
Yeah, actually, I've been in the Gulf region, in the Gulf Cooperation Council area, and I've been practicing here as an IP attorney for more than 2 decades now. And I've noticed the evolution that these countries were able to achieve during this period. It's amazing. I cannot, go into all the details now, but the way that these countries are perceiving and having this vision of building up an IP culture and innovation culture across the countries is amazing, is really outstanding. And I believe this is the way forward. I believe that what we see today in some of the matured countries, where innovation is part of their business settings and environment and ecosystem, this is something that will be achieved in the GCC in particular. More importantly, From my perspective, I felt, and throughout my research that you mentioned at Antwerp University, that there is a missing element. We need to enhance and raise the awareness about intellectual property, not at the level of the professionals, but at the level of the executives that are starting companies, so that are handling startups or SMEs, as you just mentioned as well. So, and I did a huge survey across the GCC, and the results were astonishing. I mean, people who were able to identify that an invention is protected under patent were below 10%. Executives who were able to understand that a brand name is protected under trademark were also around like 15% or below. So raising IP awareness is very important. Why? Because a company established in the GCC or anywhere in the world, actually, they at the initial steps, they will either copy an existing business model or they will innovate. So this is part of their awareness about IP. If they innovate, if they are not aware of how to protect themselves, they might just lose. You are a patent attorney. So if they declare anything about their invention, it will lose novelty, and therefore they might not be able to protect their invention. And then this is the circle. I innovate or not. If I innovate, I need to protect myself. If I protect myself, I need to exploit my assets, the intangible assets that I'm owning. And this culture, if I'm able to raise it and put it in the market here, I think it will help the initiatives that the governments are taking across. And I believe AIP can do that, can be of help, because we are facilitating such matters. We are having several campaigns to raise awareness about this. And at the same time, our system will be of a huge help to SMEs and startups for them to be able to protect themselves with not, because one of the main elements that in many conferences used to be raised is the cost. So, okay, I have a brand. How to protect myself in order to register in each country? It will cost me a huge amount. And as a startup, I'm under a survival mode. I cannot put the budgets for that. So, with a less expensive, more streamlined system, this will surely help all the small companies, the startups, and the SMEs in the region to be able to elevate their role and be able to protect themselves and become more suitable for successful exit with other companies.
I'm glad to hear that you actually spoke about IP and business assets in the same sentence, because indeed, intellectual property is a business asset which SMEs need to understand that they create, but they also need to understand how to protect that
Yeah.
intellectual property, how to protect that asset, and then leverage it when they are growing and indeed when they are exiting. So I can see how AIP Genius can help the SMEs executives do all of that work themselves, because everything has been automated for them. But now moving on to IP professionals. So you argue that the integration of AI into IP practice is not merely a technological shift, but a structural evolution of the profession itself, from process coordinators to strategic advisors. From process coordinators to strategic advisors. What advice would you give to an IP attorney or a trademark attorney in particular when today they want to position themselves on the right side of that evolution?
I would say education, 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 continuous education. The problem, Claudia, is that we have the tendency to be satisfied with what we have achieved already. And most of the time, we reach a point where we are in a cocoon and we're happy to be there. We don't want to go out of our comfort zone. So my advice to all my colleagues, to all even the team at AIP, even all the IP practitioners, and even any type of executive, is don't stop. Continue learning. I started my PhD at the age of 55. So continue learning, continue gathering more information. My dad used to tell me when I was a kid that the only wealth that no one can steal from you is knowledge. So knowledge is key. If we continue to enhance our knowledge, to raise that, to be able really to continue to be up to date with what's happening in the market, these will help us really to continue growing and will avoid at any point in time for any kind of technology to replace us or to take our place.
Education, education, education. I really love this. So indeed, we should never stop learning. Otherwise, we'll not be able to stay competitive, at least in the IP profession. So, Hady, thank you for joining us today and for sharing your insights into the work that AIP Genius undertakes for its clients when merging AI with human expertise in order to automate and enhance the entire IP lifecycle. It has been a pleasure learning more about the vision behind the firm, since, in your own words, you are saying that AIP is not an IP firm, it is a technology company in its own right.
Thank you so much, Claudia. I appreciate the interactions that we had. Your questions were amazing, and I'm sure that our listeners will enjoy listening to this podcast. Thank you so much for your time.
Many thanks, Hady. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to learn more about the IP Tech and Innovation Services Annual or explore opportunities to be part of the 2027 edition, please visit www.iptechnovation.com. Until next time, thank you for listening.
The Technovation Talks podcast has been brought to you by Northlands Media PR and Marketing Limited in the United Kingdom and hosted by Dr. Claudia Duffy from Innovare IP. The 2026 edition of the AኣይP Tech and Innovation Services Annual is exclusively sponsored by AኣይP Nexus.